Bedhead, Bedbeard, and Dune. That's how we roll. It is 4:30 on a Thursday morning, and it's time to get into the next chapter, which we're kind of at this pivotal moment where in the last chapter we finally see the betrayal by Dr. Yue taking place and that he actually got the Duke, and so it's kind of like fade to black, the tooth, remember the tooth. Um, and I keep coming back to how it's a really interesting way to write a story where you're seeing, the betrayal is coming, you know who's going to do the betrayal, you know everything that's happening, because it's being told in advance. So it's not like a typical story where you're going to be following along in a limited third person narrative and you're going to be surprised when everything happens. Oh no, you know it's coming. It's still a surprise, but it's not the same type of surprise. But anyway, um, it's been a great ride up to this point. So we're starting off with the Lady Jessica chapter now, and this is sort of we're in the middle of it now. This is the whole great big betrayal. Who's going to get out alive? Who's not going to get out alive? If you haven't watched the previous episodes in this series, check it out down below. Essentially, if you're new here, very quickly, the Decoding Dune series is me reading through the Dune trilogy alongside of the films that Denis Villeneuve, I always forget his name, is making. So we've seen the first film a couple of times. Second film is coming out in early 2024, and then they're going to be filming a third film covering the first three books in the Dune trilogy. So we're rereading those. For me, it's the first time in 20 plus years. I am familiar with the story, but not the nuances. So I like being able to read through the chapter by chapter, week by week, analyzing things, asking questions, comparing things to what we've seen in film or the Sci Fi Channel series or the original David Lynch film. But in any case, we start off with the quote, as always, from Princess Irulan from the collected sayings of Muad'Dib, and it says there should be a science of discontent. People need hard times and oppression to develop psychic muscles. This out of the frying pan into the fire. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger type of sentiment. So Lady Jessica wakes up in the middle of the dark, in the middle of the night, with a premonition and the stillness around her. Um, and got to remember this is her training at play as well. She's got fear in her nerves. Something. She's like, maybe I should turn on the lights, but maybe I shouldn't. What's going on? There's something, instinctual in her mind telling her to, relax. She's like, her mouth feels strange, and then lump, lump, lump. A dull sound, directionless in the dark, from somewhere. Um, she begins to feel aware of things, realizes that she's bound and gagged, and she's been drugged. She's remembering now something in the darkness of her bedroom, something in her face, wet and pungent. One inhaled breath, and then oh no, there's a narcotic, and then gone. And the realization that the treachery is now complete, and that how it was right. And then she realizes that she's not in her own bedroom. She's somewhere else. Where's Paul? Her first thought. My son. And then calm, calm. And then terror. Leto, where are you? Leto. Oof. So this is just her waking up, realizing that she's on the floor. I need to calm myself down. I only get one chance against this, against getting out. Realizing the training. I've been here about an hour. There's footsteps approaching, at least four people. And then the realization as someone stands over her in a basso voice saying, "You are awake, do not pretend." And she opens her eyes to find the great enemy, the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, standing over her. Oh no. Oh no. That's not good. And she realizes now that Yue was the one, because she thinks to herself, how could they have known exactly when to show up? And my weight, my metabolism, Dr. Yue. Mm. And then, yeah, we also meet Peter de Vries, the Mentat assassin working for the Baron. Mm. The Baron's musing on how he would love to have a conversation, but being aware of her abilities, they have to keep her gagged. This is so the Baron actually is like sitting here talking about how Peter's Piter. It's actually Piter, not Peter, right? It's Piter was supposed to get her as a reward, but he says here, "I wish to demonstrate a thing that he does not really want you." And Piter's like, "Really, Baron? What? You play with me? Mm, I know what Piter really wants. He wants power. But you promised I could have her." The tenor voice has lost some of its cold resolve, it says here. Ooh, and she wonders to herself how the Baron could have made such an animal out of a Mentat. That's a very good question, because the Mentat are supposed to be immune to all of these mental machinations and manipulations, and yet he still has managed um, to corrupt this man. Ooh. So he offers Piter a choice here. You can have this woman and exile from the Imperium, or you can have the Duchy of Atreides and Arrakis to rule as you fit in my name. Oh, and she wonders to herself if Duke Leto is now dead. She's like, is he actually dead now if they're offering him? Um, oof. You do not joke with Peter. Remember, Peter, I'm giving up the boy. Oh, so there's this whole commentary here of, as he's looking at Peter, whatever's done, I leave to you. I don't want to know anything about it. Wait until I'm gone to do what you must do. Yes, good. And she's thinking to herself, the reason he doesn't want to actually see anything happening is because then he can't lie to the truthsayers of the Emperor. Um, so if he knows he's going to be facing if he's going to be facing the Emperor's truthsayer, he needs 100% deniability, and this is when she realizes that the Emperor is absolutely in on this. Ah, my poor Leto, she thinks to herself. Oh, this is where we get the Harkonnen guards, and they've shown this I think in all of the adaptations. I can't remember if it's in the Lynch version, but I know it's in the most recent version with Denis film, and then I think the sci-fi version as well. Well, one of the guards that goes to take them out is the deaf guard because they know that her voice. So if there's any accents at all, they've at least got one guard that can't be affected by Lady Jessica's powers. Quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to our first official guild officer, Bubbalonia, as well as all of the guild champions, and of course, all of the members who help keep me on the air full time. To join as a member, simply click that join button below and pick your tier, but you can also support with super chats on any live stream or premiere, or super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Don't forget the Discord. Let's get back to the video. All right, so Piter is saying, take them into the desert as the traitor suggested for the boy. The worms will destroy all evidence. The bodies must never be found. And she realizes, as the deaf one asks, you don't wish to dispatch them yourself, that he actually reads lips. And she realizes now that Piter also fears the truth-sayer. Mm. "Won't we kill him here?" asks Scarface, the deaf one. "Too messy," says the first one. "Unless he wants to strangle him. Me, I likes a nice straightforward job. Drop him in the desert like the trader said, cut him once or twice, leave the evidence for the worms." Nice. All right, so she sees the litter now. Paul is bound but not gagged. Is he drugged? She wonders to himself, and then his eyes open just a fraction, so he's feigning unconsciousness. Mm. And she thinks to herself, he mustn't try the voice. The deaf guard. He doesn't know about the deaf guard. And then we switch POVs. So he does realize that one of them is deaf. Uh-huh. And he's analyzing the situation here. He's thinking here, I went to bed with a capsule that Yui gave me, found myself bound to the litter. Probably the same thing happened to my mother. Logic says the traitor was Yui, but he still hasn't made a final judgment call. Out into the sand, onto an ornithopter. So there's this moment after they're being loaded into the ornithopter with the two guards and everything else, and Jessica tests her seatbelt and finds that it's loose, realizing the strap has been almost severed, and it'll snap at a sudden jerk. So she thinks to herself now, has someone been in this ornithopter and prepared it for us? Who could it be? Um, there's a moment here where the guards are thinking about, oh, we shouldn't waste this pretty little flesh. Have you ever had a highborn? Mmm, real pretty she is. Sure do seem a shame. Might never get a chance like this again. And Paul finally says something. He's like, don't lay a hand on my mother. Oh, and she realizes to herself that he's pitching his voice a little bit too high. Might work. He's got to work on it. All right, there's a moment here as one of the guys reaches for her skirt, and suddenly Paul uses the voice. Remove her gag. Hmm. He goes to reach up and pull her gag down, and the other one's like, "Stop it!" And now she's got her voice at her disposal. No reason to fight over me. You mustn't disagree. Is any woman worth fighting over? Scarface is down, the deaf one. Well, in any case, as they get here, they get the bag out from under the seat, and as they do, they hear this noise, and they saw another ornithopter swooping in, and they realize they're not going to have time to clear the bodies out of this one and escape because it's the Harkonnens. And Jessica yells, "Run, Paul!" And that's the end of the chapter. So they aren't out of the woods yet by far, but they did get a care package underneath. Um, and I vaguely remember, because having just watched the film, um, if it follows, and I don't know if it follows the same as the film, but in the film, Dr. Yue wasn't 100%, he did what he did to save his wife. And ultimately, that was his primary motivation, but he still had great love for the Duke, and he wants to make sure that Lady Jessica and Paul have their best chances of success. So, care package. We'll see what it is next chapter. In the meantime, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. I'm off to it, get some more coffee, and do other things. Check out all the other videos in the playlist, and I'll see everybody next week. Until then, stay safe, folks. Happy reading.